So number 3 is set priorities and work on key tasks. I spent thousands of hours studying economics, and I've written a book called The Laws of Economics. And one of the first laws of economics is scarcity, is there's never enough resources, never enough time, never enough people, never enough money, never enough anything. So therefore, the job of the executive is to allocate resources. Allocate their time, the time of other people, the amount of money they have, everything has to be allocated. And because you can't do everything, you can only do a certain number of things, the job of the leader is to choose, is where we will spend time and money. Where I will focus my work, where everybody else will focus their work as well. So set priorities and work on key tasks. One of the great laws is one of the worst things in the world is to do something very well that need not be done at all. And one of the destroyers of human careers is people are working very hard on tasks that are not as important at all as other tasks. They're working very hard to do something that doesn't even matter because the consequences for doing it or not doing it are so small. So you have to keep coming back and say, what is the most important thing? What's important here? What's important at this time? Number 4 responsibility is to focus and concentrate where superior results are possible. Since it's not possible to do everything, you have to focus and concentrate. When Bill Gates and Warren Buffett were asked at a dinner party a couple of years ago, what is the most important quality for success in business today? They both replied simultaneously to the questioner, focus. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Focus is the most important quality of business success. It's the ability to pick one thing, like starting in the morning with one task, setting priorities, and then focusing only on that task until it's complete. Very hard to do, but that's the great difference between success and failure in business. Because if all you can do is work on tasks of low value when you get to them, then that's the kind of responsibilities you end up with as a manager, which are none at all. Eventually, you're not entrusted with responsibility because it's too dangerous to give you responsibility to allocate scarce resources. Number 5, Number 5 is to solve problems and make decisions. Now, one of the books I just wrote was on this subject. To solve problems and make decisions, the only obstacle that stands between you and your goals are problems of some kind. So your ability to solve problems is the critical factor that determines your success as a leader, as a manager, as a person. And again, it's this 80-20 rule. So the question you always have to ask is, what is holding me back from achieving my most important goal? There is a principle, I just saw a review of the work, it was done about 30 or 40 years ago, and it's called the theory of constraints. Anybody familiar with the theory of constraints? One of the most important of all management concepts. It basically says that between you and any goal, there's a constraint or a choke point that determines the speed at which you achieve that goal. Whether it's achieving a certain production level in a factory, whether it's growing the business, whether it's whatever. You always have to ask, what is the constraint? What sets the speed at which I achieve my most important goal? Let's go back to doubling your income. That's always a happy goal. So we can say, all right, I want to double my income. What sets the speed at which I double my income? I have had this experience countless times. Salesman comes up to me in one of my sales seminars. Okay, I want to double my income. You say it's that simple. How do I double my income? I say, well, let me ask you a question. How many new prospects are you seeing each day right now, 5 days a week? What's the number? And in most cases, they don't know the number. Well, I don't know, 2, 3, 4. But what's the number? Do you keep track? Well, yeah, sort of. Really, show me. Well, it's in the car. The fact is that most people don't keep track. So when you go to work for someone like Howard who has a system, the first thing you do is you track everything. You track everything. Exactly how many people am I seeing, and how many people did I see on April 2nd, 2016? Because you've got your records that track how many people that you've seen. So I say, however it is, an average salesperson, I will say this, according to the advanced research, sees about 2 new people per day on average. Some are above, some are below, but the average is 2. They think it's much more, but it's not. They're spending too much of their time warming up and warming down and going for lunch and chatting with their friends and checking with their email and going home early. but it's about 2. So if you want to double your income, it's very simple. See 4 people each day from now on. Go with God. And they say, well, it's not that simple. You don't understand the business and the market and the competition and the this and that and everything else. And I say, yeah, I understand all that, but every other person in the marketplace, every company, has exactly the same conditions to face. So if you want to double your income, see twice as many people. You don't know where the sales are going to come from, but you do know that if you see twice as many people, the law of probabilities, which is a law, not a theory, will yield twice as many sales. And I've had people start to come back to me and they say, I was at your seminar a year or 2 years ago and you gave me that advice. They said, I couldn't believe how true it was. I doubled my income within 30 days. I've been in my business in 11 years and I doubled my sales in 30 days. I just started to organize every single minute of every day so I could talk to at least twice as many people. And they did. And the sales took place. And I can tell you all kinds of stories, which I will later. We may not finish all of this, but I want to finish as much as possible. I've got so many gems based on exhaustive experience that are priceless. But I'll just give you that one. Talk to twice as many people each day. And you'll double the size of your business, your sales, your profitability, quality of your life, and everything else. And if you don't, you won't. Number 6 is lead by example. Be a role model. This, again, is a great quality of leadership. What does that mean? It means that I say here, you ask this question, what kind of a business would my business be if everyone in it was just like me? And you imagine that as the leader, everyone is watching you. When you get promoted from being a floor mopper to a floor supervisor, when you get promoted 1 tick up because of the quality of your work, everybody starts to watch you all the time. And they discuss you behind your back. And they discuss what you said and what you didn't say and what you meant and how you looked at this other person. Everything you do is now transparent. You just basically, they drop you into a fishbowl. And you swim around and everybody's looking at you. So one of the rules of leaders is that behave as if you were a leader. Behave as though everyone is watching you and setting their own standards by you. And make sure that your standards you're setting are really important. And then number 7 is to perform and get results. In the final analysis, remember we talked about being a really nice person or being competent and getting results? That's what it is. So always ask, what results are expected of me? Drucker, again, and usually the person who you read when you are the least knowledgeable about a subject is the one that sticks with you the most. But I had spent hundreds of hours in Drucker, and Drucker said the first question of the new executive is always, what results are expected of me? Every morning when you go to work, you sit there and you say, all right, what results are expected of me today? And of all the results, what is the most important result? And then you start on that immediately and do only that. If you do everything other than that, you'll be a lousy leader. But if you do that consistently, you'll be one of the champions in your industry. Stop wasting time talking to your friends and playing on the internet. Just be very clear. And it's very important if you have a boss that you and the boss are singing from the same page of the hymn book. As you go and talk to the boss and say, look, these are the things that I have to do. Which of these is most important? If I could only do one thing on this list, which would be the most important in your eyes? And always make sure in your work that you're always working on what your boss thinks is the most important thing you can do. It's the greatest kindness to your boss, to yourself, to your career, to your staff, everyone else. Again, my friend, clarity, clarity, clarity. So this brings us to the questions that okay. So let me go back here. All right. So I've written this down, so there's a lot of homework that I'm going to give to you. And we say here, the business skills analysis. A business skills analysis is very helpful because human beings are absolutely excellent at grading themselves correctly on a scale of 1 to 10. They can listen, they can read the words and intuitively, instinctively, and correctly grade themselves. So you can do the same things. So you say business skills analysis. These are the 7 most important requirements for business success. And give yourself a grade of 1 to 10. Number 1 is productivity. So with regard to the statement, I am highly productive and efficient and I get a lot done each day. Give yourself a grade of 1 to 10. Give yourself a grade of 1 to 10. Are you highly productive? And it's okay if you have a lower grade because that just gives you a starting point. And just like if you want to lose weight, the first thing you do is you Weigh yourself. If you want to become a better manager, a better business person, weigh yourself. Today, in the last week, there's been 2 major articles in Business Week, in Wall Street Journal, maybe 3, on overall productivity in North America has been shrinking for the last few years, which means overall income, personal income, is shrinking. And so the big question is, why is it that personal productivity is going down? And since this is a subject that interests me, I spend a lot of time on it. But the most important thing is to realize, contrasting from year to year, from half or a quarter of the year to each, that there's a drop in productivity. Why? Why is it that people are not producing enough? And one of the ways is bad organization, not measuring productivity, not measuring the right things, and so on. So how productive are you, and how productive is your business? Number 2 is marketing and sales. I have an aggressive, ongoing, and successful sales program in place. The marketing and sales are the heartbeat of your business, which we'll talk about soon. And so you have to ask, how well are we doing in marketing and sales? And how could we improve it? And the only thing that matters, the only thing that you ask is, what are the numbers? What are the numbers? What are the exact numbers? You can't say we're doing real well. I've had people try to tell me that we're doing real well, even though our sales and profits are down. How can you be doing real well? Well, we're really getting ready for the next season, where we'll get even better results than now. But you're not getting good results. Anyway, number 3 is innovation. I'm continually introducing new and better products and services. One of the things that was a head slapper for me many years ago is that 80% of all the products that you are using today will be obsolete within 5 years, and will have to be replaced by something newer, better, faster, or cheaper by either you or by your competitors. And there's no choice. 10 years from now, virtually everything that we use in our world will be completely different from today. So we always have to be looking to replace our current products with something better and faster before our competitor does. One of the greatest dangers that we can have is complacency. So innovation, and the most successful companies, the ones that are the heroes of all the newspapers, mostly in high tech. Look at Uber. Uber came up with this one idea of a piece of software that could connect people who needed to get somewhere with people who wanted to drive, and go completely around the entire rental car industry. So now they control more cars than all the companies in the world put together, just like Airbnb controls more real estate than all the hotels and rooming houses put together. They found a technology that enabled people, and look at the value. They've created values of 10, 20, 50. Uber's up to $72 billion now. And basically their property is software, and they don't own any cars, but they carry more people than any other. So sometimes you can come up with one idea that's different from what you're doing today, and it could be the beginning of a breakthrough. Number 4 is organizational development. My business operates smoothly and efficiently with good people in every job. So you're constantly moving people around, constantly reorganizing your business so that you're getting more and better results at a lower cost. And the greatest danger is the comfort zone. The greatest danger is the comfort zone's brother or sister, complacency, is you just coast. And the great problem with coasting is that you can only do it in one direction. And 80% of people are coasting. They're coasting. Number 5, skill analysis, key result area, is cost control. And you'll find that even the most successful and profitable companies in the world constantly evaluate their costs. They're constantly evaluating their costs. They're constantly sending out for more bids. They never get complacent about costs. They're always trying to reduce the cost. Number 6 is training and development. I'm continually upgrading my skills and the skills of my people, which I've talked about before. It's lifelong, continuous personal development. By the way, a very simple equation is the best companies have the best people, and they have the best training programs. Second best companies have the second best people with the second best training programs. Third best companies have the third best people. They don't do any training, and they're on their way out of business. It's just basically inevitable. They're heading toward a cliff. And it's amazing. 70%, 71% of businesses of all kinds do no sales training at all. Of course, I'm a big lover of sales because it's like oxygen to the brain. where there's no sales, the company dies, just almost overnight. And they said, we don't need sales training, we just hire good people. And we've got great products, we got the best products, and so we don't need sales training. We just give them the brochures and send them out and see people. And these companies, even with excellent products, they have something they had in Silicon Valley, they call it a pre-revenue business. You ever heard of a pre-revenue business? This is a business that has absorbed enormous amounts of money, maybe millions of dollars, hasn't made any sales yet. It's a pre-revenue business. And there's an enormous number of companies, especially in high tech, that are building up to hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars of valuations. And they say, well, what are their sales? What are their profits? Well, they don't have any yet, but they sure have big hopes. You see this one, what is it called today? This company that went public at $24 billion, and you transfer photographs from one...
Snapchat.
Pardon? Snapchat. And they go, Snap is the word they use on Wall Street. Snapchat. It has no income. And it came out at $24 billion valuation, and it's dropped like a stone toward the bottom of the canyon. It has no sales. And you know why? It's the people who started the company have never been in sales. They think sales are automatic. What you need is eyeballs. Just need eyeballs. Don't worry about sales or revenue. Just get eyeballs. Just get enough people to sign up. And so they get all these people to sign up, and then nobody buys anything. It's real hard on the bottom line. Real hard for if you want groceries. Number 7 is profitability. I have a highly profitable business that is growing steadily in sales and net income. And I spent so much time working with so many businesses and companies that work with businesses, and they just come in and they go straight like a harpoon, straight to the profitability. What matters is not the activity and not the turnover and not anything else. It's just your profits. Peter Drucker said net cash flow, free cash flow, is the most important number in business. Free cash flow is the money that's left over at the end of the day after all of your activities. It's not how many you sold, but how much cash you have in your pocket to take home. Free cash flow.
I stand by my statement that I made yesterday. What I'm saying is really the premise of that article is false, that in any way the president had a conversation that was inappropriate or that resulted in any kind of lapse in that. So I think the real issue...
I have no idea where that came from. I didn't do it. I didn't even do it before lunch. It just came on. So give yourself a grade of 1 to 10. Ask yourself, what is your strongest area? What's your weakest area? Your strongest area is what's keeping your company surviving. Your weakest area is what's holding them back. Now, the theory of constraints is really important, and it is amenable to the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule says that you always accept that 80% of the reasons why you're being held back from achieving your goals are inside yourself. Only 20% are on the outside or caused by your competition or something in the market or something else. 80% of your problems are inside you personally. So you always say, what is it in me that's holding me back? I want to increase my income. What is it in me that's holding me back? And here's a real good way of looking at it. You say, well, I don't want to increase my income, but you just don't understand the situation in the market and the competition and the products and the services and the prices and the this and that. I say, well, if you want to earn twice as much, you have to ask this question. Is anybody else in your industry earning twice as much as you? I had this guy come up to me which is a real heart stopper. He came up to me and I was talking about doubling. He said, there's no way I could double my income. He said, this is just California motivational stuff. You can't double your income. It's just not possible. You don't understand our industry and so on. I say, and besides that, my company would never pay me twice as much as they're paying me today. It's not possible. I said, okay. I said, well, let me ask you a question. Does your company pay anyone in your company twice as much as you're earning? He said, well, yeah, there's lots of people in my company that earn twice as much as me. Is there anybody that earns 3 times or 4 times or 5 times? He said, well, yeah, there are people, and the top people, the big people, they earn more, 3, 4, 5 times as much as me. I said, oh, then we can be safely assured that your company is quite willing to pay somebody twice as much as they're paying you, but they're not willing to pay you twice as much. Now, why would that be? Why would that be now? He said, I guess, he looked at me and said, I guess I'm not as productive as enough. I said, yes. Vaya con Dios, my son. And he walked away saying like this, I guess I'm not productive enough. I guess I'm just not as productive enough. Of course. Look around you in society. There's countless people that are earning much more than you are, and they're not as competent as you, not as good as you, not as smart as you, not as well educated or experienced as you, but they are earning more. So your question to ask is, what is it in me that's holding me back? What is it in my company that's holding us back? That's from earning and receiving more money. And the 80% of the reasons you will find inside yourself and inside your business. But if you continue to look on the outside, it's them, it's they, it's the competition, and so on, you'll never find the answer because it isn't there. The answer, 80% of the answer is inside yourself or inside your business.